Hey the Ramblers and Rovers, I am Miguel, and today we are running and roving our way through Guanajuato here in central Mexico, in the beautiful Bahia region of central Mexico. Guanajuato has to be one of the most colorful, most vibrant cities here in the region and perhaps in all of Mexico. It is a city that is renowned for its literary heritage, its universities, and the amount of things and small pleasures that you can find in this incredible city. So follow us as we show you some of the amazing sights, what to do, and perfect ways to get lost in the vibrant Mexican culture of central Mexico. Let's go! We're starting off our exploration of this vibrant city here in El Centro, downtown Guanajuato, with the amazing Teatro Juárez right behind me, a very famous theater here in the city, especially for putting on some of Miguel de Cervantes' plays. And right across is the Jardín de la Unión, this beautiful little plaza with its central kiosk, restaurants all around. It really pays to go off on your own and explore Guanajuato. Just kind of not really have like a set destination. Exploring really pays off here in Guanajuato. There's so many nooks and crannies with all these different restaurants, bars, like tiny little museums, libraries. I mean, all kinds of like cool things that you can do. It is a city where getting lost is kind of the order of the day. I mean, just look at the beauty of some of these different establishments here. Have this amazing, beautiful fountain on this side. Guanajuato is a very walkable city. Most of the city is kind of tight, so it's a place of tight alleyways and streets. So it's kind of hard to move around in a car or even by taxi. So be sure to bring your tennis shoes out because you really are gonna put some miles on them.
Ya son la camioneta.
So a little bit of the history of Guanajuato. Guanajuato is an incredibly old city. It was officially founded in 1546, almost 500 years ago. But its history goes back even further through its indigenous cultures. Guanajuato was founded because this is a very silver-rich region. So between here and Zacatecas, there are a lot of silver mines, precious metals. So the Spaniards obviously wanted to get their hands on those precious metals and just settle the region fairly quickly after the Conquista. Guanajuato's downtown is considered a UNESCO World Heritage Site for its beautifully conserved colonial buildings and the amount of incredible churches that you can find here from the Baroque period. There are so many nooks and crannies where Mexican history actually happened here, and you kind of find those by wandering around. And at the heart of all of these buildings, none can compare to the beautiful Basilica of Our Lady of Guanajuato, right here behind me. So let's go in and explore its interior. So this basilica was erected between 1674 and 1696. So it took them quite a few years to be able to finish the entire structure and all of its ornamentation. Here, right behind me is the altar. Very beautiful, very much in the style of the Baroque Spanish building style. It's a magnificent work of art in itself. These churches really show the devotion of the Mexican people and the early Spanish influence that would shape Mexico throughout its history. Guanajuato is very famous for its Cervantine festival. So it's a literary festival that is dedicated and based on the works of Miguel de Cervantes, the equivalent of Shakespeare in the Spanish language. So one of the most famous writers from the golden age of Spanish literature back in the 15 and 1600s. So Guanajuato is a university town, so you will see a lot of like a younger crowd here who come here to study the arts and all kinds of different career paths. The festival takes place in October, midway through October, and the city just fills up to capacity. That is what people would consider to be the high season here. But other than that, like Guanajuato receives local and domestic tourism throughout the year. We're coming up here on the Plaza of San Fernando, one of the most iconic plazas here in town. This beautiful, beautiful plaza boasts restaurants crowded along this beautiful fountain here in the back. A really romantic place to come with your significant other, grab dinner, enjoy a little bit of live music from the musicians who are just coming like around here, and get in your Mexican eats at some of the local restaurants here. It is an extremely beautiful plaza. I just can't like really overstate it. Guanajuato really is almost like a jewel box kind of a city where like everything just seems to have been made with the specific intention of creating this beautiful ambience and creating this beautiful city. Because like how else could you end up with something as beautiful as a place like this? Near the Plaza de San Fernando, which is right behind those buildings here in the back, you have one of the most iconic places in the whole city called El Callejón del Beso, or the Alleyway of Kisses, because traditionally the couples and lovers who used to live here in the city will go to this tight alleyway to kiss. Throughout different points of the day, you can see all of these people just kind of going in there and just taking a little, just taking a little romantic moment to enjoy the romantic ambience here in Guanajuato. This is the place. This is El Callejón del Beso, one of Guanajuato's most famous sites. Maybe come here by night with your significant other so you can avoid the tourist crowds, especially after a romantic night out here in the city. So yeah, you can see why people would sneak in here for a quick makeout session or kiss. So another one of the customs here is people enter the houses on both sides and they kiss from one balcony to the other, which is also one of the things that people used to do here in town, because it's such a tight alleyway, so very romantic. I feel that there's just so much to do and see in this city, and like just the ambience itself is more than enough to kind of get like that travel excitement going in me. But also like I would totally love to come back here with like some kind of creative project to write another one of my books. If you guys don't know, when I'm not YouTubing, I'm an author and a writer, so be sure to check out my books on Amazon under Miguel Iga. Yeah, like I would love to come here for like a couple of months and just be in this bohemian setting with all these different artists and yeah, just crank out like one work after another, and then maybe enjoying Guanajuato by night after a nice writing session or video editing session, So locals say that there are two Guanajuatos. There's Guanajuato by day and Guanajuato by night. So we've actually put out a video showing you how energetic and cool Guanajuato is by night. I'm just gonna leave a card up here for you guys to see. So we are now coming up on the Mercado de Granaditas and the Mercado Hidalgo, which is right behind us. We're gonna do a little tour here, see what kind of goodies you can buy and what kind of eats you can get. can get all kinds of souvenirs here, tons of restaurants here. People are just like shushing me over. All kinds of traditional Mexican eats here, where you can get anything from enchiladas, carne asada, gorditas. My favorite, by the way. If you have been following this channel, you know that gorditas are an obsession of mine. And oh my god, this is the Hidalgo market. ¿Qué pasó?
¿A 30 el pedazo? No, un pedazo.
This is such a big food market. You can get all kinds of eats here. And then you also have your very traditional handicrafts here that you can buy for your disgruntled relatives back home who have no idea what is actually going on with you on your trip. So all kinds of cool little knickknacks, very Mexican, very traditional. Anything from woven baskets or even some traditional Mexican sweets, some chili candy. I always recommend to people who are foreign and are about to go back to like the US or Europe to take some of these chili candies with them so that, you know, you can piss off those relatives back home once they like taste them. They're actually really good. So there's the second floor here in the market. Oh, it's actually quite beautiful with the shrine to the Virgin Mary. So whereas most of the stalls down here are gonna sell food, most of the stalls up here are gonna sell more just like consumer products and souvenirs, all kinds of leather goods which are very typical here in Guanajuato. Here is the shrine to Our Lady of Guanajuato, the same Virgin that they venerate here at the Basilica, the beautiful central church. One of the most typical things that people buy when they come to Guanajuato are leather goods, which are very typical to here. So anything from a pair of Mexican boots to spruce up your style back home, you know, get that conversation flowing about how cool of a person you are, how superior a human being, or, you know, like leather belts, vests, all kinds of things. So this is an example of one of these leather shops. You can get leather handbags if you're, you know, for like your mom or your girlfriend back home. You have more examples of them. Really cool backpacks here, or even some leather hats, like, you know, if you want to be like Indiana Jones or like a little more like me, like I'm sure all of you guys do. Ooh, this also looks cool. So these are like candy mummies, because of course you know that Guanajuato is host to the Mummy Museum. They're not really mummies, it's more that in the cemetery here where people used to bury the dead, the ground preserved so many of the bodies that eventually somebody had the amazing idea to just exhume all the bodies and just put them on display in a very disrespectful way. Don't get distracted by the mezcal, don't get distracted by the mezcal, don't get distracted by the mezcal. Just couldn't resist and I got a carnitas torta, carnitas sandwich here. It's very typical here of the region in Michoacan. So let's take, oh, this looks good. Now we We are coming out for a traditional Mexican gordita. It's a very typical from here in central Mexico, and one of my favorite dishes, so let's chomp. This is tinga de pollo, so chicken stewed in a red salsa. So let's give this a try, even though it's piping hot. So juicy, so juicy. Kind of spicy too. I like it. So we are walking right by the Alhóndiga de Granaditas, this big building here in Guanajuato that's right by the market. This is a very, very important building in Mexican history. The entry of the Independence Army into this building is one of the central turning points of the independence movement. When the rebel army actually takes Guanajuato, the first city to be captured from the Spanish. And actually you can still see in different parts of this building pock marks up there and all the bullet holes from all the musket balls that were fired at the Spanish defenders who barricaded into the building and were consequently slaughtered by the rebel army. So the main door to this building was actually burnt by this brave Indian man who put a slab of stone on his back so the musket balls wouldn't hit him. And he got close enough to put a torch and light the whole door on fire, which allowed the rebels to go in and take it by storm. This is kind of the Bastille moment in Mexican history. So, and also Guanajuato's regional museum. So let's go check it out. I mean, just from the number of bullet holes here from all the musket balls, you can just imagine the savage fighting that took place all around this building. Guanajuato is a very bohemian city. This whole street that runs alongside the Alhóndiga de Granaditas running towards the east of the city is filled with all kinds of art galleries and art workshops and hotels, bars. So a very lively place to visit and explore, and also like see and experience like Mexican art, just like this workshop, for example, with all these beautiful. Hola, buenas tardes, ¿qué tal? With all these beautiful works of art you can take home as souvenirs. Get a little piece of Mexico to decorate your home with. I was talking to one of the artists who was working inside of his studio back there, and he was saying that because the University of Guanajuato's Faculty of Arts here for the better part of over 30 years was woodcutting only school, people came here from all over. What a beautiful alley. People came here from all over like the world and all over Mexico to learn the art of woodcutting and printing. So many of the traditional or more established artists here in Guanajuato will be woodcutting artists, and you have all these small presses, even by like younger artists. Unfortunately, the pandemic did hit many of the artists who were here. He told me that on this street there used to be 19 woodcutting workshops, and now there's only 4 or 5 left, is what he was saying. But many of the younger people who come here, you know, the students from the university, are also establishing their own woodcutting and printing workshops here. So that just speaks to the vibrancy of this amazing city. Right behind me here in this house is the museum of Diego Rivera's house. So this is the house where Diego Rivera, the husband of Frida Kahlo, was born. So many of his artworks are exhibited here, including a very, very unique painting from the time when Diego Rivera was studying in Paris. And this other bohemian artist, you know, I mean, this is all like in the 20s. And some other bohemian artists, halfway through their drinking spree, gets him to model for him. So this guy paints Diego Rivera as a study 22-year-old or 20-something-year-old, it paints him drunk. And so I haven't found that painting like anywhere on the internet, but it's here in this house. It's very much worth visiting here, get some more of your art in. Unfortunately, it's already closed for the day, but this is one of the museums you can do in addition to the Mummy Museum. So this building behind me is the illustrious University of Guanajuato, one of the most important institutions and buildings here in the city, and also one of its most beautiful. I mean, you really need to be fit to climb all those stairs. This is a very, very famous university here in Mexico, not only for the amount of students that come out from its hallowed halls, but also because it is the institution that organizes the festival here in town. Let's see if we can get a nice view of the city from the top. You can already kind of see this whole... Oh wow! Oh, it's gonna look amazing. Just take a look at this incredible view of Guanajuato from up here. Not only is this building just incredibly beautiful, it's also an amazing place to get your views of the surrounding hillsides in. You can really appreciate how Guanajuato was built on the mountains surrounding the city. And from going into the museums, I saw, and looking at some of the old maps, I think that some of these hills in the back, or maybe even behind the university, are the ones where originally some of the mines were. So Guanajuato at some point produced most of the world's silver. It was the largest producer of silver in the entire world. This is around like 1790, somewhere in the late 18th century. So, you know, claim to fame. Maybe that's why you have such beautiful buildings and churches all over the city, because you have this colonial aristocracy that is just fat and wealthy from like exploiting the silver mines. So that is what gave the city such a huge boost, until in more recent times it became this university town and center of Mexican culture, and not only Mexican culture but Hispanic culture in general here in central Mexico. This really is the perfect city for writers. There are so many like bookshops and cafes, like this one that is just beneath the university building. I think it actually might belong to the, it belongs to the university itself. Just take a look at how cool this library is. You can always get like a donut and coffee and just come and read, see if anything appeals to you here. Oh my God, I will move here. I swear to God, I really love this city. I really think that the best thing you can do here in Guanajuato is just get lost and see what kind of treasures you can find. Anything from little plazas. There's yet another bookstore here. Coffee shops, bars, just so much to do and see here, especially if you're into arts and culture and you're like more of an intellectually minded person or an artist, a creative. Perfect city. Just some of the way that these buildings are constructed, just kind of on the hillside, with these rooms that just jut out over the abyss. It's very reminiscent of how they build buildings in Spain, in certain regions of Spain. This town is really representative of that Spanish influence in the Americas. It just kind of feels like you're walking through this like Spanish medieval town that kind of decided to turn pirate and write books and hold plays. Just such a beautiful, beautiful city. I think that most of the houses around Guanajuato are actually lived in, so it's very much a city that is still alive. So, for example, like San Miguel, where most buildings have just been converted into hotels or businesses or Airbnb stays. This is a place where the inhabitants still live. I don't really see it being too gentrified, which is a good thing in my book. Hopefully it'll stay that way, so we can keep that authentic bohemian flavor that just draws people from all over the world. You know, just a regular afternoon here in Guanajuato where you can listen to a world-class opera right on the street. This is an incredible city. And as we have reached peak Guanajuato with that incredible performance, I want to thank you for sharing in all of these beautiful moments and for touring this incredible city with me. Remember to like this video, subscribe to our channel, drop a comment and say hi. I love hearing from you. Say hi from wherever you are. I'll say hi right back. You have to include this city for your Mexico itinerary, especially if you're going to be in central Mexico around the Querétaro, San Miguel and Mexico City area, or even around Guadalajara. It's not too far away. It's totally worth it to climb on a bus and get here as fast as you can. This is a city that you cannot miss. Till the next adventures, hasta luego amigos. Keep on rambling and roving. Safe travels, my friends. Adios.